Chaos ensued earlier in February when a 15-year-old migrant teen reportedly shot a tourist in Times Square, one of the busiest places in New York City. The teen allegedly fled the incident, firing recklessly.
It went like viral, and it was like some people.
Look, they're running. What the crap?
Through crowds of pedestrians at the NYPD police who were in pursuit of him on foot.
The shooting that happened in Times Square and it ended up hitting some tourists, turns out was a 50-year-old migrant from Venezuela. Politicians in New York have to get tougher on crime, especially migrant criminals. They're given money, free health care, and a place to stay.
Gun violence in public places is no rarity in the former capital of the United States, and a growing sense of fear has consumed the masses as of late. Precautions taken to minimize security risks of this caliber are either too vague or counterproductive. Who do you think is to blame when kids bearing arms are allowed to loiter, board flights, and be in the same places as the general public? This video is all about the situation in the city right now. In a ghastly turn of events, a tourist in Times Square was injured after being shot by a group of young men who were attempting to rob a sports clothing store. The shooting unfolded after the suspects were caught shoplifting. Surveillance footage shows the store's security confronting the suspects regarding making payments for the items they possessed, after which the three suspects are seen fleeing the incident. CCTV footage also confirmed that one of the three suspects took aim at the security guard and accidentally shot a Brazilian tourist in the leg while bolting out of the store.
I leave Brazil, which is a dangerous place, to come here. Now I'm a little scared. You don't expect this to happen here.
Police reported that the suspects then fled the crime scene, with the prime suspect open firing at an NYPD cop who was in pursuit of them at a subway station. Following the shocking incident, New York City law enforcement detained a teen suspect. The teen in question was of Venezuelan origin and had arrived in the country earlier in September of last year along with his mother seeking asylum. Prosecutors reported to the media that the suspect
can be expected in this case given the nature of the charges that's going on in this political climate and everything else.
Jesus Alejandro Rivas Figueroa went on to pack his belongings the morning after the incident and tried to flee the city with his mother. Within 24 hours, the authorities on the manhunt were able to track down the suspect.
Just like we promised, less than 24 hours later, he's locked up and off our streets.
The young migrant at a house in Yonkers, where both Rivas Figueroa and his mom were taken into custody while still trying to evade the police. Authorities posit that the whole nerve-wracking incident could have been a robbery gone wrong, and the suspect is believed to have been on a gun-toting crime spree since January. Since September of last year, when the alleged teen and his family had flown in, he had temporarily resided at a migrant shelter in Manhattan. The teen had been attending a public school since his arrival. Following the incident, the teenager on the run was taken into custody at a Yonkers residence hidden behind a dresser.
The manhunt for a young migrant accused of opening fire on police near Times Square ends at this home in Yonkers Friday night.
The Yonkers home was of Rivas Figueroa's maternal aunt, who let them in when the suspect and his mom showed up with a problem. The aunt, also a migrant living in the Big Apple area, commented on the incident and said that the family was shocked to learn that the problem was the teenager's alleged robbery and attempted murder. According to the aunt, the mother of the suspect has been detained by immigration officials since the accused was charged. "We want liberty for her because it's not her fault what her son has done. Whatever has happened, that's still her son." The aunt spoke to the media in Spanish about her sister.
Convicted, I want them to do time in jail, and then we deport them.
Repercussions for crimes of this magnitude are often life-altering, especially considering the accused's age. The situation doesn't look good for the suspect, as the Manhattan District Attorney's Office stated that the incident was captured extremely clearly on a nearby surveillance camera. Police further reported that Rivas Figueroa pulled out a very large, high-powered, .45 caliber handgun and took fire at the guard and into the crowd. The 15-year-old was arraigned in court later that week. The Venezuelan teen who listened through a translator during his arraignment did not enter a plea or speak in court. With a lack of evidence in support of the defendant, the 15-year-old was charged with 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder, assault charges, and criminal possession of a weapon. The bail application read out during the arraignment stated that the teen be remanded without bail. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office cited that the defendant has demonstrated that he is an extreme flight risk. With the case being strong against him, the teen would face a long sentence of incarceration. However, even though actions have been taken against him as an adult, he will be placed in a juvenile facility. Prosecutors said that the teen should receive jail time without bail, citing fears of significant criminal ties with people outside of the United States. Due to this, the district attorney has also requested a no-bail policy as the migrant has only recently entered the country.
And all after what happened to this tourist.
From what we know, we can say that the police were quick to spring into action. To be able to detain a suspect within 24 hours after an incident of this sort, especially involving a significant security risk, is very skillful. At a media briefing regarding the incident, the Police Benevolent Association's president, Patrick Hendry, commented on the suspect. He believed he could fire that firearm into a crowd on the street, he said. Believed that he could find and carry an illegal firearm. But NYPD Commissioner Edward Caban also expressed his concern at a press conference later on in the week of the arrest. He said the suspect shot at the NYPD officers who pursued him through the streets of Midtown without a single thought of who he might hit or who he might kill.
Pristine photos of our subjects. Now, those photos ultimately lead to the identification of our shooter.
In a press conference about the incident moments before the arrest, NYPD Chief of Patrol John Chell announced that the suspect had been identified.
Our cops are right there where they're supposed to be. We would like to prevent everything from happening there, affect the rest, and keep this community safe.
Chell reported that the teen is also being suspected for 2 other incidents in New York City, both of which happened in late January of this year. This includes a gunpoint robbery in Midtown and the Bronx.
Our suspect, 15-year-old, with all the white outfit, down towards 6th Avenue. An armed robbery on January 27th in the Bronx, and now this incident last night.
New York City has seen a significant spike in moped-enabled crimes, robberies, snatches, and pickpocketing even in very public settings in recent years. The trend of migrants being attached to these incidents has created a sense of fear among the citizens, fueling a vicious cycle of crimes. According to statistics, in just the last year, 15% of criminal cases at some of the city's public facilities involved migrants, and 1,200 asylum seekers were arrested in relation to those incidents. The recent shooting involving the teenager too came only days after another scuffle with a few migrants just a block away. The former incident played out after police confronted a migrant group of young men, all from the same migrant shelter near Times Square. As one of the men was pinned to the ground and arrested, nearly a dozen men present at the scene began assaulting the 2 police officers. News articles reported. It seems like the city officials are onto it, as arrests are being made day by day. The public is also being cautioned to stay calm, as it's only a minority of migrants that are involved in these crimes, and they are suspected to be members of South American criminal gangs.
Fight breaks out as other suspects jump in. The district attorney announcing the indictments of 7 people related to that assault.
In relation to the assault on the 2 policemen, authorities were successful in making a few arrests. No fuss there. However, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office faced much criticism after headlines were dominated by the news of the 5 charged suspects being released shortly afterward. The president of the PBA aptly pointed out a possible reason for the criminal trend. That is the message being sent by the courtrooms, he said. That if you get arrested, you're back on the streets of the city in New York. The PBA says that even though the police are successful at making arrests, the court needs to be stricter when dealing with such cases. A commenter on a New York Post article regarding the Times Square incident said, "Anyone under 18 that picks up a gun and uses it for criminal purposes should be charged as an adult, really just common sense." The teen being jailed without bail as an adult is for sure a step in the right direction, but more needs to be done to ensure the safety of New York streets.
All right, we're at the Road, New York City, which is the Migrant Hotel, which was the NYPD said it once a very nice place. It's being trashed by the migrants. They're throwing away the food. They're saying it's not good enough. or them, in their opinion, are stolen property. This is an absolute it's a disaster. As Americans, citizens, New Yorkers, Mayor Adams has them in filthy shelters, living in violent shelters.
Gang violence in states across the nation is a growing concern. Today, over 30,000 prison gangs, street gangs, and motorcycle gangs are said to be criminally active, according to the FBI. Unfortunately, it seems like gun laws in the country are more so placeholders than actual rules. In December of last year, the Federal Appeals Court amended gun laws in New York City. The new law bans carrying guns in so-called sensitive locations, which include government sites, places of worship, schools, and Times Square. News of severe lapses in Social Security often propagates waves of panic among the public. This incident comes up amidst a migrant crisis the city has already been facing. The public was quick to voice their opinions on the incident. Perhaps the most important question to ask about the incident is, who's to blame? Opinions flooded the internet about who was to be held responsible for the chaos. Some blamed lawmakers and state authorities who are responsible for regulating gun laws and public safety concerns. Others had some extreme comments about immigrants that generalized the involvement of migrants in such incidents. Who you think is responsible? Comment down below.